Alright, we're going to run through forging an integral handle knife. This is 3/4 inch coil spring that I'm forging it out of. And right now I'm flattening out the sides to give that handle a nice ovate shape. And it's a lot easier when you have to isolate the blade and stuff if the sides are flat. And honestly, you got a hammer on it anyway, might as well flatten it out. So I'm getting it down to the thickness I want. And you'll notice on this I don't tip it vertically and hit it at all because I want it to widen out and flatten out. And now we're isolating the material for the blade. If you notice, I got my handle kicked on a little bit of an angle. It helps when you're hammering right at the edge and you want to do full face blows right at the edge of your anvil. It will make an indent that you want right at the edge. And when I get close to the handle material, my strikes are a lot more gentle and controlled because you don't want to hit the handle side at all. You just want to hit the blade. And I constantly flip it up and see where I'm at and see where the blade needs to be flipped. And you just keep doing that until you get your blade down to the thickness that you want. And I'll continue on in the next part. Alright, and right now we're profiling the blade. You'll notice that I don't hammer very hard or very often without flipping it over on its side and smoothing it back out. It'll keep your width from getting out of control, and it's a lot easier to hammer a little bit and correct the thickness than it is to hammer too much and have it flare out too much, and then it's a lot more to fix and you can end up with cold shuts rolling over and stuff like that. It's a lot of 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, but this is the way I've always done it and it works pretty good for me. And now I'm refining the tip a little bit more, and you don't want to get the tip too pointy. I try to keep it relatively, give me room to, a lot of these I don't really know if they're going to be a drop point or a clip point, so I tend to kind of feel it out as I'm grinding, unless I'm working on something and somebody wants specifically one or the other. But these are just however it feels to me. And now I'm flattening out the handle a little bit more. I want that ovate shape. You want something that feels good in the hand, because if a knife doesn't feel good in the hand, it's useless. I'll continue on in the next part. Alright, so now we're hammering in a sheep's foot. The way I do that is I hammer in a bevel from one side, and I kind of have my hammer kicked on an angle so it spreads it out towards the edge side of the handle more than the back side. And then we flip it over and we hammer from the other side. It's a lot easier to hammer more when you haven't done enough than it is to unhammer when you've done too much. And I just keep flipping it back and forth and inspecting my work. And now we're on the cross peen to spread it out a little more. I did this on one of them, and I was going to smooth it back out with the flat face of my hammer, and then I realized I really liked how it looked, so I'm going to leave that in there just to give it a little texture and just that little extra flair, just give it something that a little more that catches the eye. And aesthetics matter, not as much as quality, but they do matter. And now I'm straightening it out, and now I'm going to introduce the curve into the handle that I want. I'm not hitting super hard, just enough to get the handle to bend. You don't actually want to forge, you just want to bend stuff. And now I have to straighten out the blade because, it's all hot, it's all, malleable, so it'll bend and move. So I'm straightening out the blade and getting it ready to go, and then I'm going to bring it over to the camera and give you a good look of it. There you go. She's good.